welcome to our first podcast with our first real in-person guest, which is Doug Branson. So Doug Branson, welcome to the Alamo Ranch Ward podcast.
Thank you. I literally am sitting across the table from Bishop Anderson.
My dining room table.
We are just looking at each other's eyes.
It's intensely personal, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really great. I think I actually would recommend this to anyone.
So, like I mentioned in episode 1, or the preamble, or the overture.
Which you have a great voice for this.
Well, I try.
Yeah. I listened to it, and I thought, this is very soothing. Not in like a I'm going to go to sleep way, but just I felt like I like this podcast.
Okay.
I would want to listen to this.
With only one 10-minute episode, you're like, I'll listen to this
I hit
guy.
subscribe. I did.
The first of many subscribers, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is all about connection. This is all about people getting to know Doug Branson better. So that when they see you at church or wherever you hang out, they're like, I know that guy. And, they have more of an opportunity to connect with you. Okay, so let's start with the broad question of like, who is Doug Branson? Like if you had to pick, a few words to describe you, what would you pick, or how would you introduce yourself?
Yeah. First of all, I think I would describe myself as a husband and father, whether it's an intentional choice or because of how I was raised, or I don't know, but I definitely have internalized the idea that the most important work, and I'm not just doing this for the podcast, like genuinely the most important work I'm going to do is in my family. And so, lots of different ways to identify me professionally, recreationally, at church and otherwise. But first and foremost, husband and father. People will have heard or seen our kids and me, and because Mackenzie says that, like, Mackenzie's my wife, and that our kids are really taking after me, and that we are a circus. We are this traveling circus. Wherever we go, you hear and see us. We are loud. Mackenzie is not loud. Mackenzie is kind of soft-spoken.
Yeah.
She's pretty thoughtful. We're the rest of us are kind of big and brash and and loud. So
Those are the Branson genes, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Way too overconfident, irrational confidence.
Irrational confidence. There you go. I like that.
Yeah.
2 describing words for you.
Yes. I do love to be moving in any way. So I got Mackenzie a new bike for Christmas. It's an e-bike. And I probably am using it more than she is because you can fit a bunch of kids on the back.
Oh, nice.
So I get home from work and I'm like, all right, who wants to go for a bike ride? And I love to be moving.
Well, and they want to go because it's no work. You're doing all the work, or the e-bike is doing the work.
The wind is whipping their hair and back, and
Just an adventure.
They feel great, and I feel great, and so really like to be on the move, biking, hiking, even running, kind of. Playing sports, pickleball, ultimate frisbee, basketball, really anything. I'm up for it, and really, really love to read. Really anything across the genres. I mean, I definitely, of course, I love to read my scriptures. I try to read.
I didn't know you were a reader.
Yeah. Okay. I think I used to be kind of a lot of fiction. I've actually taken on more nonfiction, which, back in the day, like people would read business books. I work at Wells Fargo.
Okay.
I'm in financial services, very business type job. And I kind of would reject, I'd kind of distance myself from that kind of reading, very focused on fiction. And my wife, she's an English major graduate and creative writing, and so it was like literary fiction. I was really kind of being steered in that direction and loving it, and so now I'm kind of broadening out. I've got poetry, which I started reading like a poetry book a year during April, which is National Poetry Month.
Wow.
But now I'm reading lots of poetry, and I really like poetry. So fiction, poetry, nonfiction, and within nonfiction, it's history, it's biography, it's memoir, it's
Awesome.
and I think across our family, we all really love to read.
Yeah.
Which is great.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So you said 4 to 5 words, and I gave you 400 or 500. That's another
Doug
way to
Branson,
describe me.
husband, father, reader,
Talks too much.
energetic, talks too much.
Yes.
Rides an e-bike. Got
Yeah.
it. Okay.
My wife's e-bike. I have an old 10-speed.
You already got into this, but tell us more about your professional world. So you work for Wells Fargo. I know you worked for USAA prior to Wells Fargo because we were there similar times.
Yeah.
What made you decide to pursue the occupation you pursued? Like, when did you get into that world? How did you get into that world?
Yeah. So I'll go back, get home from my mission, and go. I served my mission in England, in the Manchester mission.
Okay.
Get home, re-enroll, get back into BYU, Idaho. And
You're from Idaho,
I'm
right?
from Idaho.
Okay.
Both Mackenzie and I are from Idaho Falls. And there are, I think, less people in the state of Idaho than like greater San Antonio.
Surely that's different now. Like, people have moved there.
Boise, yes, you're probably right. That's probably an outdated quip of mine that used to be a good one with, native Texans who aren't really familiar with the church and aren't really familiar with Idaho.
Yeah.
You're probably right. It's probably outdated.
Idaho blew up during the pandemic. Everybody moved to
Boise. I don't know about Pocatello, but Idaho Falls, it all did. And a lot of people moved there. So BYU, Idaho, went back, did some school before my mission and loved it. I love BYU, Idaho. And so there are some kids out there who are going, you'll say, well, where did you apply? BYU. And I'm like, well, why didn't you, go to BYU, Idaho? And, you have to remember, energetic, talks too much. And so 30 kids per class, max. So you really have a relationship with your teacher.
Yeah.
And you really are participating in class, and participation is really expected. So I loved that. And I loved the sports environment at BYU. It was so great. Competitive leagues, that's like the full pads, refs, played football there, played soccer, played basketball, played dodgeball.
Just played every sport they offered.
I played everything they offered.
Tried out for every team. You have to try out for the teams?
I went to a water aerobics class with my wife.
Is that how you met? Was it water aerobics?
I wish it was.
That'd be a great story.
Yeah, that would be a great story. We'll get to that one later. So get back to BYU, Idaho after my mission. And I don't know. Why did I go to the business program? I don't know. If I could do it over again? I'm not sure I would.
Yeah.
Not for undergrad.
Okay.
I think an MBA was good, and now it's kind of like, I'm not sure if any MBAs are really. I hear a lot of struggles for MBAs getting jobs right now.
Yeah.
So business, BYU, Idaho. I start working for Melaleuca.
Oh, okay.
I did a little call center time with Melaleuca. And then this is Mackenzie's like greatest regret story. She gets back to school. And I'll let her tell her story another time, but she gets back to school and I'm like, she's got to get her degree. I'm like 100% supporting this.
Yeah.
And I'll do anything to make, we have one kid, I think, at this point.
Okay.
And so, I mean, we have one kid at this point. It's a statement. So I'm gonna rearrange my schedule and make sure that you can finish your school. And someone, I won't say it, but he was working at Qualtrics, I think employee number 11.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, hey, you should come work at Qualtrics. One of my mission companions. And he's like, you should come work at Qualtrics. And I contacted HR, and they were seeming pretty positive about me.
Okay.
And I'm like, no, I've gotta support Mackenzie getting her school.
Right.
Which
Because that would take you away from BYU.
Yeah, we would have left BYU, Idaho. I'm fine with this. Even to like, I'm like, I don't care. Like, again, I am not like, oh gosh, I wish I would have worked at Qualtrics. But Mackenzie wishes I worked at Qualtrics because my
employee number 12.
yeah, I probably would have been a little further down the line. But that friend is like just incredibly rich, and she's just like, what could have been?
What happened?
But I think it's important. Education is really important. So I get my business degree. She gets her English degree. and I'm working at Melaleuca, which is fine, but like I was working in logistics and supply chain and operations, and like you can just like it's going to take you 57 years to, you know, make enough money to not be, you know, feeling as poor as we were.
Yeah.
But we didn't feel poor back then, but looking back. And so I'm like, I start thinking, I need to go to a master's program. Okay. Start looking at master's programs, look at BYU, and then Purdue just kind of kept coming up randomly.
Okay.
Maybe not random, but you know what I mean. Like we met one of the career guidance people from BYU Idaho, met him at the store, saw him again after we were done with school. And he's like, hey, have you thought about Purdue? And it just seemed like everywhere we turned, we were hearing Purdue this, Purdue that. So we kind of started exploring. I reach out. The program director was a member of the church.
Okay.
And long story short, we go to Purdue. We loved Indiana, West Lafayette, great place. And USAA is recruiting there.
Oh, okay.
And so you can just see like business undergrad, MBA, operations focus, never really went to marketing, never really went to finance, just kind of this kind of operation stuff. Well, what does that mean? Well, project management and program management and process and change and risk and all this stuff. And so as I was at USAA, I just kind of did more and more of that stuff. And now I'm at Wells Fargo, basically doing the same thing. I got laid off from USAA, and truly just because the Lord is good and we're so blessed, we were able to get on at Wells Fargo.
Idaho to Indiana to San Antonio.
Yeah. And we did a short stint in Shanghai, China.
Shanghai?
We both did internships there.
Oh.
Yeah. While we were at BYU Idaho.
Really?
Yeah. It was awesome.
Did you pick up some Chinese?
We did. So I got accepted, and this is like, oh my gosh, people who are listening to this are just like, please stop talking. I got accepted to a Taiwanese university because, of course, as it is, you know, I served my mission in England, but there were so many Chinese students in some of those areas, and so we started learning some Chinese because it's like, how do we teach these people?
Yeah.
And one of the people we baptized in Preston, England. We lost contact, and I remembered his email address because he loved Chris Webber, and I also loved Chris Webber, the Sacramento Kings of the early 2000s.
I'm thinking a Webber that was like on the Utah Jazz or something forever ago.
No, he owned the Utah Jazz.
Okay.
And I went to every Kings Jazz game when I lived in Idaho. And so this one student from China in England gets baptized, and we lose contact. And his email's like chriswebber.li at, you know, whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, I'm just going to try. Just email him. And he's like, well, I'm actually at the World Expo. You know, I guess it started out as like the World Fair, and now the World's Expo.
Okay.
And so it's in Shanghai in 2010. And he's like, I'm at the expo. And Mackenzie and I were at the expo that day.
Wow.
I emailed him, and he responded back that day, and we met up with him. Preston, England to Shanghai, China, and like we
totally
just
around
same
other
place,
side of the world.
But he was living in Beijing.
Okay.
I mean, there's like 1 billion plus people that live in
Right.
China. It was
what are the
so
chances?
wild. So got to see him, got to reconnect, and that was amazing. So we were in Shanghai. Really, you know, if it would look like a complete diversion, you know, on our kind of path of how we got here.
Mm-hmm. Let's actually go straight to, you've mentioned your mission.
Yeah.
So you served a full-time mission for the church.
Loved it.
Let's skip to sort of the spiritual topics, right?
Okay.
So you've been a member of the church your entire life?
Yes.
Born,
Baptized when I was
raised.
8. My priest-aged brother, my 16-year-old brother, baptized me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. So how would you describe like your personal faith journey, like the development of your faith over those years?
For those who, and again, you know, it's a stretch to say that anybody's going to even listen to me. But for those who are listening to this and have also listened to some of these Come Follow Me podcasts, there's one Come Follow Me podcast called Grounded. and someone would say, wasn't that one geared towards women? Yes, and I still listen to it. Bonnie Oscarson, Sister Oscarson. I really liked her when she was the Young Women's General President. She was the guest this past week, and she described herself as having a believing heart, and she said it was like a gift of the Spirit for her. And I would say the same. I was a little rascally when I was a kid.
A little squirmy in church.
Oh my goodness, Bishop! I got kicked out of Webelos, like full on, can't come back. The leader looking
Didn't
at
get
my
your
parents.
arrow of light.
I think I still did.
Okay.
I weaseled my way.
It was
back
negotiated somehow.
I think my mom probably did that because my mom was a convert, and I think she was the type where it was like, if you don't get your arrow of light, like, I'm not going to feel like I did my job.
I can't show up next Sunday
I can't
without
show up. Yeah. So, yeah. But I liked church.
Yeah.
I liked church, and when I did bad, I felt bad, and I wanted to do better. And so I would just say a steady upward course. That's a quote from President Eyring in regards to BYU Idaho. I would say a steady upward course has been my faith journey. Always have really felt the Lord's love. I don't think I've ever felt concerned that the Lord didn't love me or everyone else. I think I've just always kind of felt that. I've always kind of believed that. So it's not. I think sometimes when I hear people are having doubts and are struggling, I'm in a position where I'm needing to have empathy and have compassion, because
You haven't had that experience, or haven't?
Yeah, and I will say that there are some times where I realize, like, I need to have more faith. Like, as a dad, for instance, sometimes I'm realizing that really the most important thing I can do is love my kids. And this was a gift from me. It was actually C.J. Olson. Some advice, you could say. Just number one, like, love your kids with everything you have, and the Lord will help you, make you equal to the task. Because sometimes I just feel overwhelmed and kind of not like I'm capable to kind of do everything I need to do, especially as a father and husband and in this new calling, got board mission leader, and so it's just like, this goes back to being a missionary. My patriarchal blessing said I'd go to preach repentance to a people who would not want to listen. And it said, the great importance of just loving the people and building relationships and making friendships, and then the Lord would help me teach the gospel. And so the same is true. And if I'm doing it in another way, I find myself kind of like Paul. What's he say? Like kicking against the pricks or whatever. Like, I realize, like, I'm going this the wrong long way. There's an easier way, and it just focuses on love. So I would say I've always felt the Lord's love for me. I've always felt like I've loved the Lord, but I'm learning how to love others. That's my journey.
Oh.
And
so if we think about the two great commandments,
Yeah.
Love for God came easy.
yeah.
Love for neighbor, maybe a little more difficult.
Yeah, well, and some people would be like, well, that's crazy, because we always see you talking to everybody.
Such a nice guy. He loves everybody, right?
Yeah.
Works well with others. Check.
Yeah. Mackenzie and I, we were on a plane flying to Arizona, and we're sitting next to this guy who's clearly not like us and not from where we're from. And yeah, he's from Bangladesh, and he also works for Verizon, and I have a Verizon phone. So, well, why wouldn't I talk to this guy?
Sure.
Next thing we know, we are spending a weekend with he and his family. They lived in Salt Lake. And
Just got an invite on the plane.
We did.
Yeah.
And like, we're there, and it's this huge Bangladeshian celebration. So, like, it's kind of like this paradox, where it's easy to connect and to like feel the Lord's love for other people, but to live with love. I don't know how to describe it, but like, you know, I'm always working on how to be a better dad.
Yeah.
Every day.
Well, it's hardest to be our best person with the people who are closest to us.
Yeah.
You know, I find that with, you know, my wife, with my kids,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, people probably look at me and like, oh, what a great bishop he is or whatever. But like, they don't live at my house.
Yeah.
And my kids and my wife see me at, you know, at my worst,
Yeah.
you know? And so I think, you know, that's common for us to be like critical of ourselves in those contexts, because at home we are our best person and our worst person all at the same time.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask this. So I think you are, I think, naturally a very genuine person. You come across just genuinely. Like, you're easy to know. Does that come naturally? Did you develop that like
Good
skill,
question.
or are you just, were you born that way?
I think once again, like I have always been probably too open.
Well, and genuine with your faith too. Like, I want to bring it back to the faith context,
Yeah.
because,
Yes.
you know, I think about the scripture, right? I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ, like Paul, right?
Yeah.
Standing in front of King Agrippa, and it's like, that's how you strike me,
Yeah.
right? You are not ashamed to be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. You're not ashamed that you love God, and that
Yeah.
you know, you're trying to live the two great commandments, to love God and love your neighbor.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think what I struggle with, and you know, I'm now ward mission leader, and I realize that like it is easy to talk about the church. I find it very easy to say, yeah, our kids are participating in this talent show at our church.
Mm-hmm.
But then saying like, so would you like to come? You know,
Right.
I had, and okay, you're not watching this, but you know, I've got my phone here and I've got my fingers on it, and I have this text to a neighbor couple, and they love our kids, and I'm like, you know, I'm kind of like, and
I need to send that
I
text.
gotta hit send, and it just I felt like some nerve wracking.
Yeah.
So it is very easy for me to just be open and genuine, but I'm maybe like everybody else, or maybe not. Maybe other people have an easier time inviting than I do. Inviting is kind of that big kind of hurdle for me to get over. And I think I've realized that the people I have the hardest time inviting are people who already have a clear and vibrant faith in Jesus Christ. Right. You know, it's like it feels overwhelming to say to them like, hey, come see what we have over on this side of the pasture. But yes, you know, I think the you call it, you know, genuineness, or I would just maybe say kind of authenticness. Like I just have really always been willing to just say like, this is me, and I'm realizing that I'm learning more about myself as I go on, like what I thought was true about me. Like I'm realizing like, you know what, maybe I didn't realize that I need this more than I thought I was getting, or whatever it is. I'm learning more as I go on. So as I'm trying to be honest about myself, you know, I'm realizing, okay, there's kind of a gap there that I didn't realize was there.
Okay. I don't know how long we've gone, but
I think I just live here now.
well, that's fine. I mean, there's a guest room, and I think it's clean. Maybe let's try and wind down with the question of what you've been here 9 years in San Antonio.
Yeah.
This is your second round in the Alamo Ranch Ward. So we thank you for returning.
Yes.
And you know, so the question is, you know, what do you love about living in San Antonio the most? What do you love about what about this area stands out to you as like, man, I love living here. I love raising my kids here. I love, you know, being members of the church here in this area.
Yeah. So let's start with church. We love, whether Alamo Ranch Ward, Wiseman Ward, Tally Ward, Alamo Ranch Ward the first time, we have made so many just like lifetime friends while we've been here. And I don't know if everybody's kind of tacitly kind of agreeing to this without saying anything, but it really just feels like everybody comes here and we all just kind of have agreed to leave our kind of notions of how things should be behind, and really focusing on how things need to be. And I just feel like, man, I feel welcome at church. And I want to be careful, because I don't want to say like, oh, when I go back home to Idaho, I don't feel that way. It's not that so much. It's just, I just feel like my kind of genuine, authentic self really just feels really welcome here.
And comfortable then. Like,
yes.
Just you walk in the door and it's like you belong here. You're part of the furniture, you know.
Some places I go, I think I'm a lot. I am. I've been told these words, that I'm a lot. And I can have some ideas about things that are, you know, like beyond what maybe people are comfortable with or something. And it just kind of feels like, man, I can just be me. I feel like every time we come to church, like there's a place for us, and we feel great. And that's been the case. Alamo Ranch Ward Part 2, Part 1, Wiseman Ward, Tally Ward.
And to be clear, you haven't moved.
We moved once.
You did move once.
When we were in the Wiseman Ward, and we moved within the Wiseman Ward.
Yeah, so
which is now
you've
within
never
the
moved
Alamo
out of the
Ranch
ward. The
We've
wards
never-
have only moved around you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so we live in our place. You're welcome to come. Whoever's listening, just call us, text us. You're welcome to come. Our backyard is the smallest backyard, I think, in the world. Our backyard is so small. But you know what? Our kids don't seem to care. And so we have really looked hard at moving. And our kids love where we live. They love this ward. They love their schools. We love where we live. Like, we're always like, oh, should we be done with our SeaWorld membership? But gosh, we can't get rid of it because we just keep going. And
It's just right there.
and we'll go for like an hour.
Yeah.
We'll ride everything because we know when to go.
Right.
You go before the crowd and you get ahead and blah, blah, blah. And then the state parks are great. And, you know, for us, we're from Idaho. So the beach, the Gulf Coast is like an amazing beach.
Yeah.
So we just like recreationally, in terms of having kids who our oldest is 13. And so like, and our youngest is 4. Having young kids here has been so great. We love to go visit Idaho in the summer, but we love coming back.
Yeah.
It's been so great to have little kids here. And, you know, we feel like we have been kind of culturally enriched in San Antonio. We've participated in everything. We've participated in the Martin Luther King Jr. March.
Yeah.
Marches. We've done Diwalis, and we've done Dia de los Muertos, and you know, we've gone to Broadway shows and author readings. I don't remember who it was. Margaret Atwood, actually. Mackenzie and I went. Anyway, and David Sedaris, we've gone to him too.
Yeah.
But you know, we just feel like we're so much is just right here available to us.
Yeah.
We feel like our lives have really been enriched by our neighbors. And so whether it's our neighborhood, whether it's going downtown, whether it's going out to a state park, we just meet amazing people wherever we go. And it's always really interesting to hear some people are here and their families have been here for generations. And then some people, you know, moved here last week and aren't really sure about it. But, you know, whoever it is, like, it feels like amazing people are in no shortage of supply.
Okay. Well, Doug, any final words, anything you haven't said that you would love to say to this small but amazing audience that we're talking to?
Yeah. So I feel like these whoever might listen, as I will always do, you know, if you ask me about myself, I'm going to tell you about myself. But I also want to hear. I love hearing about who other people are and what makes them them. So genuinely, whether you come over to our home and we can break bread together, whether we come up to me at church, our family always really enjoys getting to know people. I'm the product of, I would say, number one, the love of heavenly parents and my Savior Jesus Christ. Number two, I'll say those three together are number one. Number two, my wife. Truly, I think she has helped me to, whether I've always gone willingly, or understood what was happening. She has helped me to raise my sights about myself and about who I am, as a father and as a person and as a husband, and a member of the church. Anyway, yeah, but I mean, truly, like, I am who I am because of Mackenzie. And then third is our kids. I mean, truly, we have amazing kids who I feel like no matter who you are, they're going to go have a great time with you.
Yeah.
And I think they're really good at that. They're really good at just whoever you are, wherever you are, wherever we are, they're going to just like meet people and just play with them.
Find a good time.
And be a good friend. And then, members of the church, people we've met along our journey have just been really formative for me, in terms of who I am, great friends now that we have and great friends we have had. And so this won't happen. These things can't happen unless you talk to people.
Yeah.
And so, please, I really hope to get to know more people. Trying to do that on my own, but hopefully somebody will come up to me and say, "Hey, I want to tell you all about me now."
Yeah. Awesome.
And I'm excited to hear who else is on the podcast.
Well, Doug, thanks for being courageous and being our first victim here. And, hopefully we'll have many more after you. And yeah.
Thanks. Hopefully I'm not what stops the podcast.
You're the only one. Yeah. We get a call from Salt Lake after this.
This
shut her
was too
down,
long.
Bishop. All right. Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, Bishop.